Hello and welcome. This is another episode of A Sit Down with Jan. I'm your host, Jan Rogne Ruud. And what's up, guys and girls? Today, very exciting, we're going to talk about why is my website a total disaster? You know, this we get often, right? Please help. What can we do to fix this state of disarray? Frankly, you know, when we see this on the interwebs, and you can search, of course, online, why does my website suck, etc. Many good points there, and I'm going to refresh you a little bit here. But there's really one piece of this that you're missing, and when I say this, there's a billion plus websites on the internet, right? A study from a year or 2 years ago on Marketing Land talked about 50 or 60% almost now of Fortune 500 businesses are using Google Analytics, which is a free tool for tracking their websites and getting business data. And frankly, that's where I'm going with this today. But first, let's take a look at the obvious ones here. This notion that you have lack of targeting. A previous video, I talked about keyword research, keyword targeting, messaging, and positioning really a match between your audience and your website. That could be an issue, right? So we want to check that off right now. So you want to check that. Non-focused messaging. So when somebody comes to your website, does that message match, or is it a complete high bounce rate and they're out? You don't want that. So make sure that you check that, right? And we're going to have other episodes where we get into this in more in-depth, but I just want you to start thinking about this. And poor user experience, you know, is it hard to navigate? Are the colors off? Is the font large, small, indifferent? The spacing, the layouts, number of issues that you could look at here. And then, of course, just simply being outdated, and it looks like 1995. It's not professional looking. This is bad. This is not good. We see that one quite often. And then, of course, here just more sort of operational in context. You may not have great support for your website. You haven't really been focused on it, and frankly, that's an issue just from sort of a logistics component, right? But what we're going to be talking today, much more in depth, is going to be the non-tracking issue. And frankly, when you talk about why your website sucks, if you're not tracking and you're not understanding the data behind the scenes, yes, we should reflect on these pieces here. But it's easy to get emotional about this, right? Yeah, my logo is not right. My wife says this is just the most disgusting website ever. You know, my competition, it looks so much better. It gets into this touchy-feely component. I like to look at data first, right? Data really speaks volumes. So if you have a website now, you have maybe some trailing information of what that should look like in terms of how it's working for you. If it's monetizing, that's one thing. If it's driving traffic, if it's creating stickiness for users. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, but you may be actually migrating a new site. You're going from old to new. The first thing that we look at, the first thing that we ask about is, what does your data look like now? Now, for SEO and organic purposes, there's a lot that goes into this migration process. We do a lot of migrations at the firm. But truly, what you need to look at first now, kind of looking at the folks who come to us and say, I don't know if I have analytics installed. I don't know what my conversion rates are. I have no clue about traffic numbers. Well, this video is for you. So in step one here, you want to check if you have analytics installed. You may actually have it and not even know it. Well, get a report, right? We're going to talk about that in a second. And interestingly here, you are hosted with some kind of hosting company. You should check with your webmaster there, because they may have logs. They will have logs. And there are tools and parsers that can pick up this information for you on the internet and get some clarity and some data points. Now, you don't want to necessarily stay with the log approach. You want to move into kind of an easier tracking script. We're going to talk about that now. But in truth, you need to make sure that you capture some of these data points early on. So what you do now is you run reports after you've checked for analytics and you indeed have some log information that you can run, then check for analytics. Check the time span, get some history, 30, 60, 90, 180, 12 months back, 24 months back. Do some comparative analysis. Look for traffic numbers, trending information, typical pages that drive traffic. See if you can get some keyword information all of this data is going to be very, very helpful to start dissecting why your website is such a total disaster. And then, of course, you want to make sure you research tools out there. And so when you look at Google, when you look at analytics tracking tools, Google is right at the top, right? It's free, it's extremely powerful, easy to implement. But there's things like Clicky, there's Mint, and there's open source tools. Some folks come to us and say, oh, I don't want to be involved with Google. They're snooping on me too much anyway. So privacy concerns, you may go with another tool here. We use also Clicky, right? Step 2 is we're going to assume that you're going with analytics in this example. So what you want to do is make sure you have a Gmail account set up, and then simply go to google.com/analytics, and there's Google 360, there's a premium account. You just want to select the Google Analytics portion. It's a few links down on that pull down menu after you've logged in with your Google Gmail account. And then you grab the tracking ID and you simply go to the admin tab, then click the tracking info tab, and then go and get the tracking code. And it looks something like this, UA dash and some number and then dash. And once you have this information, you would want to go to something called tagmanager.google.com. And once you're there, you want to create an account. All of this stuff is free, by the way. Isn't that cool? It's all free. Set up containers and set up tags. And this really is just a revolutionary way in which that you can set up scripts and tags in one place. You can do a lot more in Tag Manager and set up triggers and event tracking. We're not going to get into that, very advanced topics, but you have one place to manage your scripts, and that includes, of course, Google Analytics here, but you might have scripts for Salesforce, you might have script for other tools and services. For instance, Crazy Egg is another great tool for tracking usability and navigation and heat maps and things on your website, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The idea is that you use Tag Manager to track all these things. Then you place that script, just one script, on all your pages on your website, and then you go back to Analytics, Google Analytics, and you go to the tab on the left that says real time and make sure that you're actually seeing some data. And once you see data, you know it's working. If you don't see data, just go to your website and make sure that you're refreshing a few pages so you'll see it there. And this is a fast video. I know I went fast on this, but the truth is your website sucks because you don't understand or you don't know what data you have there. So before you get into all kinds of discussions around this, just go right to the source, go to the heartbeat, go to the area where you can pinpoint some of the issues that you're seeing on the back end. Now, this information here is going to drive a lot of these decisions, but that combined with competitive research, I talked about that in a previous video, with your keyword research, you'll be able to formulate kind of a back-end strategy that seeds the front-end designs and upgrades and sort of the forethought to where I want to go. Of course, when you take the website and place it over here and just sit down with your team, or if you're one person, that would be you, and talk about where do you want to go with this, well, now you're going to get into analysis about products and services, marketplace, goal setting and projections for the future, business planning. This is a whole set of different challenges and opportunities than what I'm talking about here today. I wanted to address so much. We get this, my website is a total disaster. I don't know why it sucks so much. We start asking about data, they have no clue, right? Most of you do it well, but many of you don't, and some of you don't have tracking at all. So just to recap, you want to go through and set up a tracking tool. Google Analytics is great. Make sure that you go to that google.com analytics URL, set up a Gmail account, and finally, take that UA ID, that tracking ID, it's just a number, right? Like a phone number, if you will, and go to tagmanager.google.com and set up a new account, get that container and get that tag set up, take that code that it gives you and send it to your webmaster or place it yourself. There's tools and plugins for WordPress that you can use. But now all of a sudden you've got a great back-end tracking system that will give you valuable data that you can now help seed, that will help seed your future endeavors in addressing some of these. Now, you may be doing good on some of these things and lacking this. Well, this is a perfect opportunity to really get deep on this. However, most people are busy doing their business, especially in the local and small business communities. So this may be somewhat overwhelming. If you need help with this, of course, there's many resources out there. Google has some great training materials through the university programs and accreditation and certifications if you want to go all out. on this, you are free to do that. And of course, I'm going to throw up a link here if you'd like. We can have a quick chat about this, and I'll kind of take you through it as well. We have guys that do this every day for us and our clients, but this is a non-pressure kind of informational video that I wanted to share with you today. So this is me, Jan, live coming at you from Los Angeles. Take care, take action, and have fun.